Was that full bottle?
This? No. No. This is what I used when I was painting something else.
The legs for the thing?
The legs for my lathe, yeah. And then I decided not to paint the whole lathe. Well, kind of a half-hearted paint job, but yeah. I'm the only one who's probably going to be looking at it for the next however many years. So I think I want to take this guard off right here and investigate what's going on here, because this doesn't seem like the stock guard at all to me. And I was wondering whether or not, if originally there wasn't another one of these boxes like this on this side, because a lot of these Hammond grinders that I've seen pictures of, they have basically they're symmetrical. So I know that I've got that other table that goes on this side that was removed by somebody. So it could very well be that they just modified this whole side for some reason. And this just looks like maybe a guard they made. But the way it's attached, looks like they drilled some holes right in the casting. So I'm wondering if I take this cover off, whether or not I'm going to see that maybe there's evidence that there was another part of the casting that's completely missing. Well, got one of these two screws, Allen screws, out of the back here. This one though is seized and the head is stripping, so I got to get some penetrant and maybe some lubricant on the back side of that hole. So I took this front guard off here. You know, one quick look at this guard tells me that this is definitely a an aftermarket shop-made guard. Those welds. So now I got to get this wheel off. It's an interesting setup here with these two nuts on it. I don't know if these are, I don't know what the story is here on these. If that second nut's just a jam, if this is just a jam nut, let's see. It looks like they're just using that as a jam nut against this nut to keep it from loosening. Oh, look at that. Oh my. They bushed this so that they could put this big, larger diameter wheel on this thing. And apparently they couldn't get it quite right, so they shimmed. Look at that. They just took some metal and wrapped it around the shaft. Couple of sleeves of metal, and they pushed it in there. Huh. And what do you got? Piece of cardboard. Oh, that's the cardboard from the other side of the wheel. Oh. I wonder what size that is. Well, turns out this is that standard 1 1/4 inch. These diamond wheels. So, yeah, there you go. So for some reason, this guy really wanted to use this precision carbide grinder as a regular bench grinder. So he Mickey Moused this so he could get this to work on there. Yeah, that's a shame. And then it's looking to me like, I think originally maybe this casting went up higher, and for all I know there was another box over here, because this looks like this was ground off, like maybe the casting broke and then was ground smooth, and then he made this drilled it and tapped holes to make this auxiliary cover. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is probably just trying to convert this back to a diamond wheel carbide grinder with the with the correct table back in place, and see if that won't work with this cover he made. Okay, so it looks like if you took this bolt, and there's a bolt on the other side here, if you take these two bolts out, this whole piece right here will come off. And it looks like that originally this was all one casting that came with this box on the side here. In other words, this box right here with this part of the shield wraps around the back here is all one piece that's held on by two bolts that are not viewable. It's just going to be easy for me to clean this and paint it with it all in pieces. So I'm just going to take the whole thing apart. So I just removed this table, and you can see how clean and polished that shaft looks, and the other one is just pitiful. So it's going to take a lot of cleaning up to straighten that out. Well, there isn't enough of this nut sticking out to really grab onto safely, and even if I could, I've got no way to really stop this shaft from turning unless I do something horrible with a monkey wrench to the other side, which I don't want to do. So I'm going to see if I think if I take these 4 screws out, the wheel will come off of the backing mounting plate, and then probably give me enough clearance to get onto this nut, and then maybe also there's something to grab onto to stop this from turning. Well, these screws do not want to come out, and they're just they're little hex head screws, so I can't really put much torque on them without them stripping out. Well, I was only able to get one of these screws out, and the other ones are the sockets are stripping out. They really seized in there. This one isn't even the right type of screw. It's not a bugle head screw. So I ended up just zipping the nut off with my impact driver, and was able to take this off. So now I think if I take these 2 bolts out right here, I think this whole part of the casting with this whole assembly is going to come off. Well, this solid steel shaft that supports the 2 tables goes right through the whole casting right here, and this side isn't too bad, but this side, which hasn't seen any use in a long time because of the way that the thing was kind of rigged up to use a regular grinding wheel, it's really rusted, and I'd love to be able to take this whole shaft out, because then I could spit it on my lathe, and that would make cleaning it a lot easier. But I got a feeling that's going to be a major job, so I don't know if I even want to attempt that. I'm thinking the way this is retained in here is probably, there's 2 holes right here that are really full of dirt, but I think I see threads in them, so I'm gonna guess that there's probably some sort of a set screw down in there, and that if the 2 set screws are removed, or at least backed out far enough, that maybe then this shaft can be removed. The other thing they did is they drilled and tapped a hole here for this bracket which holds this big can, which is more than likely a large capacitor, even though I don't see any leads on the end. It must be a capacitor that they've actually on the top side where I can't see is where the leads come out. And then those leads probably, yeah, they go over here up into this box. Well, miracles never cease. This screw I was able to get out. I started to get it to turn, and then it stopped near the top and wouldn't come out any further, just like a little bit below it. So then I backed it back in, put a little bit of PB Blaster in there, and now it's coming out, no problem. But you could tell just by the sound there's a lot of grit in there, which is what was holding that in there. So that's clearly... And oh, here's the funny thing. I couldn't see. It was so much dirt down in there. I couldn't tell what the head was on this thing. So I happened to stick this screwdriver in there and felt that it was engaging it. So I was like, oh, it's just a slotted grub screw. Now that I have it out and I look at it, I realize, no, it's a socket-headed grub screw that just happened to accommodate that size of screwdriver in its slot inside of it. So that was lucky. But now that I got this one on this side, I can determine the exact correct size of it, and maybe that'll help me put a little bit more force on the side that's still stuck. Well, I'm putting quite a bit of force on this and it's not moving, so I could either continue to put force on it and hope that it breaks free, but then I run the risk, once I strip that out, then I'm going to have a real bear getting this out. So I think before I go any further with that kind of an approach, I think I'm going to get my torch and throw some heat down that hole. Alright, just tried about 5 more minutes with the propane torch there. If this doesn't do it, then I'm probably going to have to wait until I get a chance to take this outside and use the acetylene, oxyacetylene setup. Yep. I did it. Oh, look at all that crud coming out of that hole. Camera battery's getting ready to die, and it's almost supper time, so I might have to quit here for tonight. So I have no reason to believe that this is just going to move now that I did that. Nope, I didn't think so. Alright, I'm going to get a mallet, give it some love taps on the end here and see if it budges at all. This is like the perfect job for my nice Lixie over here. I'm in a bad position here. You know what? I can get back to this at a later date. Well, I think I'm going to try and put this in the shock press and try and push this out. And before I do that, though, I think I want to take this long cord off and probably this light assembly on the back here, because it's kind of unwieldy with that on there. And I'm glad I opened this up anyways, because I wanted to take a look at what the wiring situation was, and I don't like it. This is regular lamp cord. It looks like it's more than likely going to that light through the back there. This wiring harness is just has electrical tape around it, and it goes through a square hole right here, and then there's you got quite a bit of wiring here, and that's for the forward reverse switch. The ground wire, this ground wire on the line in, comes over, goes through a hole in the case here that the screw, one of the screws that held this cover on, was going through. So they just kind of really did a lousy job of making sure that this ground wire is grounded, in my opinion. So yeah, this lamp cord right here is clearly directly across the line input right here, so that's an easy one. That is an interesting wire nut. Look at that wire nut. You got a little compression fitting that uses a screw, and it's got threads on it for the cap to thread onto after you put it in position. Huh, that's kind of neat. And I'm going to immediately put this back on so that I don't lose track of what wires are going where for right now anyways. I have a sneaking suspicion that this might be a dual voltage motor on here. I'm not positive though. I'll be able to verify that soon enough. There's a smaller version of the same type of wire nut.